Welcome back to the Grit and Growth podcast. Obviously, we talk all things mindset, all different industries. Today, I'm super happy. I've got Shane Traynor with me. I've known Shane for a little bit now. Shane, I'll let you do the intro, and then we'll have a chat.
Cool. My name is Shane Traynor. I am the co-owner and director of Co-Arch Architects. We're based in Birmingham. We're an architectural practice. And I'm also the co-host of the Developers Network in Birmingham, which is a network event for property developers. And Charlie, thanks for having me on the show. It's an absolute pleasure.
Good to have you. I mean, obviously, we've known each other for a little while, not super detailed, but I'm going to kick straight off into the networking side because this is why I know you so well. And then we're going to come back around to your business side. But the bit that really stuck out to me is you've done an insane amount of networking events in a year. It was a year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'll let you tell them the number, but it's an insane amount. Like mentally, surely there was a bit of a challenge there because you were away what it looked like constantly. I mean, how did you actually find the time? We're going to the networking bit, but the time, that commitment you did.
Yes, it was. I'll tell the audience the number.
Tell them the number, because I didn't want to take that away from you.
Sure. So in 1 year, I did 157 in-person networking events. I didn't count any of the online virtual ones.
So you done more then?
I did. Yeah, a few more. Yeah. Just to.
It was seriously impressive because at the start you were saying less, and then you just
the goal was 100 at the start of the year, and I did that like by July 17th. So then I slowed down, did 57 more.
But obviously some of the people, well, most of the people listening to this would have known about the challenges I'd done in 10 months. And on that podcast, I actually talked about the mental challenges I had from the time commitment. Now, 157, there's only like 52 weeks in a year. How did you find that? Or was it actually not too difficult for you?
It was both mentally and physically exhausting.
Yeah.
I remember specifically on Christmas Eve, December 2023, that's when I sort of had a break then, and I remember just like I slept pretty much the whole of Christmas Eve, but crashed. Everything just caught up to me, and I remember I felt more mentally exhausted all the way into like February next year, like just from all them, just because I'd like slowed down and stopped.
Yeah.
So it definitely took a toll. I even like gained a bit of weight, even though I was still going to the gym, etc. Because I was I say as a joke when I do talks on networking now, as if you're having a bit of a difficult year, you need to live frugal, go to networking events, because I lived off canapes for the year, breakfast, lunch, and dinners.
It's a good idea, right? It's not always the healthiest way to do it.
It's not the healthiest way, but you can, sort it for food.
Well, that's why I really wanted to talk to you on this podcast, was about the networking, because obviously I do a lot of business-related stuff, and people are like petrified of networking. So when you're saying you're mentally exhausted, I think maybe people listening here, to understand what it takes to a normal, maybe not 157 networks, but if you're going to go to a networking event, it does take a lot of effort, physically, mentally. So obviously that's a unique experience, 157 in a year. I find it funny because I just think it's crazy that you did it. Like, well done, by the way. I thought it was really impressive. Yeah. But how do you deal with the normal scenarios of like just getting yourself up for a networking event? Because I think this is where people challenge, they get really scared to go.
Yeah, sure. So for someone that's done so many networking events, I still get a little bit of anxiety when I go to networking.
Right. Okay.
It's just, and you wouldn't think it because I do like keynote talks, etc. And people say you look so confident, but I still get nervous. I still have a little bit of pre-anxiety before going to a networking event.
Yeah. And
sometimes I try to talk myself out of them, like even during them 157, like I was like, I don't want to do this, but because I had the goal, I'd go anyway, because I know that once I'm in there and I start chatting to people, then it'll be okay, and actually I'll have a good time. Yeah, it's kind of like going to the gym. Like you never want the hurdles getting through the front door. Yeah, once you're in the front door, you end up staying there. You do your workout, you feel great afterwards. Same as networking.
That's good. That's a good analogy. So, and in those moments then that you don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. I know you say you say to yourself, "Well, it'll be better." It's like the gym. How do you actually get yourself to do it? Because by the way, anyone listening, I'm the same. I've done talks to thousands of people and hundreds of people, and I've done small talks. It doesn't matter if it's 20 people or 2,000. I still get nervous before I go on. But how do you deal with that process?
Sure. So I'll look at, like, there's a few different scenarios. So one of them will be like, what are the potential consequences of not attending this event? Like, where's my business at the moment, or where's my career at the moment? Like, what type of event is this? What type of people could potentially be there? So you could do some like pre-scoping. So speak to the event host saying, what am I going to learn? What type of people attend this event? Do you think this is going to be beneficial for me? Like, try and get an open and honest answer from the host. And then, okay, so if I don't attend this, I could potentially be missing out on some golden opportunities here, or to expand my network. So finding that out first, then going, or if you're super nervous and you're a solo networker, see if you can bring along a friend, or ask the host to introduce you to someone pre-going via like a message or an email, get to know them.
I think that's do you know what? That's a brilliant idea. Hence why you're so experienced at this now, but that's a good idea. Now I'm thinking about my networking experiences, the amount of time I see people that rock up who don't have any like strategic plan of this situation. So what you're saying there is you've created really a strategic plan. Like, I've already reached out to the host who's coming. So then you can start to think about what people I might talk to.
And the host's job, I think, to do that as being host, like, and some hosts like tend to, like, they've got so much to do. But I think what makes a good host, even a good host compared to a great host, is when you see people at events, like, and you meet people that maybe it's their first time. I think you did it with me. So you said you introduced yourself, we had a chat, and you said, if you need any help or you need me to introduce you to someone, let me know. And like, that's what I do with my attendees.
I think,
and it works.
I only done that, not even noticing that I do that. I just because I think probably I've done God knows how many networking events over the years. So I think I like that personal touch. But I definitely think for anyone listening, it's a really good point, the whole, like I said, planning really. Because then if you know that pre-meeting someone before you go, that's a good idea as well, because anxiety does take over.
Think of it as going to a job interview. Like, you feel anxious going, so like, am I going to get the role? What's it going to be like? What questions are going to be asked? And obviously, if you, what's the saying? Prepare to plan, or plan to fail.
Plan to plan.
Yeah. So it's like, do the same with a networking event. Have a bit of a mini goal or an intention of what you plan to do and the types of people you're looking for, and even practice not so much of a pitch, but just what you're going to say. Like, be clear about what you want. But also don't go around and say, this is what I want, because it's not about you, the networking event. It's about how you can help others and drive value to them.
The amount of people I've met say, I went to that networking event, didn't really work for me, but they didn't do what you're saying. They didn't. I'm calling it a strategic plan, because that's how I look at that. It's a real plan of, okay, why am I going there? What am I going to do? And I get why that would help with your anxiety, to be fair. Like, I work in a similar way to you. I know that even when I haven't got the energy, once I start, I will be fine. Once I get going, the energy of the room goes in. So I think it's a really good point. Quite a direct question. What do you think people do? Because what I want to help people here with this podcast for you specifically is, I've said it already, so many people get afraid of going to a networking event, because what if no one likes them? They don't know what to say. What do you see the biggest the most obvious mistakes you see? You would have seen a lot of mistakes. What would you say from a person attending, the biggest mistakes they make?
Sure. Well, I actually spoke to someone on the phone the other day, giving them sort of a bit of networking advice. They were going to go to a network for the first time, and they were like, Shane, so what do I do? Like, do I just tell them like what I do and like what sort of business I'm looking for? I was like, no, that's the opposite of what you do. Like, you want to get business. The person you're talking to wants to get business. Like, within our sort of DNA, we're all like a bit selfish. So actually, but you need to flip the script. So when you go to a network event, actually think, how can I help everyone in this room? How can I help that person that I'm talking to? And the way you do that is make it about them, like make them feel important. Like, firstly, remember their name. So the way to remember their name, I say, is when you get their name, keep repeating it. Like, so what do you do, Shane? Tell me more about how you got to that position, Shane. And that's how I remember their name. But then say, like, look, I know a few connections. I've been to a few network events before. Like, tell me how I can help your business. Who in this room are you looking for? And then when I go and speak to other people, if I come across that person, I'll introduce.
Like that, yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. And then they feel heard, they feel listened to. And then there's a saying, and it's like, if you help someone get what they want, they will help get what you want.
Yeah.
And you go in that with that mindset.
100%.
And if you feel like you have got nothing to offer someone, I disagree. And it's something I talk about in my networking event. And like, I used to feel like that years ago. It's like, well, if I go to a property network event and I'm not actually in property, it's my first time, what have I got to offer someone? Well, actually, you've got 3 things. You might have someone in your connections. You might have like a friend or family that could be a potential investor that you don't know about.
Yeah.
That could help someone that you meet with one of their projects. You have time to maybe offer. Like, if you're maybe transitioning from like you work in a school but you want to get into property, you can offer time on weekends or evenings to help a property entrepreneur to find property deals. So you could offer your time.
Yeah.
Or you have a willingness to learn. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So you're a good listener.
Yeah.
And you have the energy.
Yeah.
So you have those 3, 4, you have 5 things to offer without actually having what you think you don't.
I think that's good. Like, it's effectively like that giving to get rather than what can I get to give.
Yeah.
It's just like you said, flipping that and thinking.
It's a big one.
It's the intentional relationships. Yeah. I think I don't like to drive the conversation too much, but we do forget that. And what can I give?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you will get it. Give or take. You tend to get if you give.
Yeah.
And do you like? I've seen plenty of this. And tell me if I'm wrong, but I have seen people that, I don't know, they go for the free breakfast, and I've tried to say to those people in the past quite directly, like, you're never going to make networking work if you just turn up to eat the canapes or to have the breakfast and then go. You've really got to put yourself out there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I'd imagine you get loads of people talking to you about networking now because of what you did. Do you get a lot of people that struggle with like that imposter syndrome as well, or does that?
Yeah, no, all the time. I do get the odd message from people to say, like, I've been to networking events, like, I know it's meant to work, but it didn't work for me. That classic didn't work for me. Like how can I get better at it? And I just say like the same things. Like, I think the best thing to do is build really good rapport with someone. If you feel like you have nothing to say about yourself in the first instance, ask that person lots of questions. Like, it doesn't have to even be about their job or their business, and go like, oh, like, do you have a family? Like, what's your favorite place to go on holiday? Because I actually think if you talk to them about non-business stuff, you get to know the person on a deeper level as well. And I think that's how you build rapport very quickly.
And what's your view on follow-ups?
Follow-ups, if you don't follow up, you leave gold on the table.
Yeah,
I think.
I thought I'd ask that question because that's another flaw I see. Like, I don't do as much networking as you, but I have done a lot in my career, and I think my opinion is that I love that you leave gold on the table. I just think people do this, and they might do a really good conversation that you're saying, listening to, not even saying much about yourself, listening to them, what value you can give them, and then you never follow up.
Like, be genuine with it. So what I tend to do on the odd occasion, depending on what I'm chatting about and who I'm chatting with, like, so say, for instance, if someone says, like, oh, I'm looking for this, go, oh, what? Well, I know a good person for that. Tell you what I'll do it now so I don't forget. And I'll get my phone out, providing I've got good signal, and I'll literally email myself in front of them with a task.
Yeah.
And then the next morning after I finish the network, I'll go, oh, I need to introduce so-and-so to that person. So I'll actually make it happen.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, wow, Shane's ace.
Listened. Yeah.
They still feel listened, heard, and then they'll be more inclined. Like, well, Shane helped me with that. So they'll be like probably thinking about how can I help Shane then, because that's how the law of reciprocity works as well.
100%. I think that's one of the biggest errors I've seen in networking is people not following up. I just think it's like I've never actually used the term without leaving gold on the table, so I like that. But it is a huge thing that you're going there for a reason.
Yeah.
So to not follow up with someone that you think there's synergy with, it's wasted.
Yeah, like arrange the one-to-one coffee afterwards, arrange the lunch, like if it's someone that you think's really valuable could work with in the future, like arrange a follow-up, or even if it's just a phone call or a WhatsApp message.
Yeah.
It's just...
Do you find, obviously, you host a successful in Birmingham, it is in Birmingham, isn't it?
Yeah.
You host a successful networking event in Birmingham, the Developers Network, isn't it?
Yeah.
So flipping it around, then you're now hosting those environments. So you already said you like to try and make people feel, secure and whatever there. From a host perspective, what's your biggest challenges mindset-wise? Because this is all mindset driven, so I love to try and get to the bottom of, because that's a bit of a different challenge.
Sure, no, it definitely is, and we have been told before on 2 separate occasions that our networking event was clicky.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is an issue. Because it's absolutely like the last thing I would have thought. Like I would like to say we are one of the most inclusive networking events, because we say we are exclusively for prop development, not developers. So we talk about development. But it's, if you're just starting out and you have no idea about property, you're more than welcome to come to the event. So I actually quizzed the individual, one of the individuals who said, like, I said, what made it feel clicky for you? And he said, because like there was lots of people that just like knew each other, and there was like in jokes that were said with the hosts and the people in the crowd, because we're quite fun. I was like, that's happened because they regularly attend.
They're coming all the time.
The more you come, the more you'll be sort of integrated, if you like, because it was their first time, and so off the back of that, we created a slide on the next month that said, like, put your hands up if you're new to it's your first time. So then they put their hands up, and then my co-host does this slide. He's like, right, keep your hands up. And he was like, right, all you regulars that come to the event, keep note of these people and introduce yourself to them during the break. Make them feel welcome.
Yeah, I like that.
So that's what we did. And then
good idea.
We didn't get the clickiness after that.
I can see that, because that was
addressed it.
That would be a subconscious, like the event that you come to that I did, that has a 98.2% return rate. So yeah, you're probably right. Like, no one said that to me yet, but there probably is individuals that have come and felt, well, must be clicking
potentially
because of that. There will be enjoy. Like, these people have listened to me for 2 years straight every month.
There'll be little quirks and things that I've said months.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. So that's something probably any host listening think about that, because I didn't think about that, to be fair.
Yeah, and I've definitely felt it at other networking events that I've attended, like where there's definitely a clickiness, but like I have to accept that it's my first or second time and I don't know anyone, and people there have made friends, like more than just business connections, because they're regular attendees. Yeah, and I know I will get to that stage if I keep going.
And I think that's because you're experienced at networking now, and I think that's a really important message for people, because if it is your first time networking and you go to an event that there's lots of regulars, I could actually see, not a thought I've ever thought about, but that is actually a place where you would feel quite isolated. And actually I don't just want to come back to the networking. I went to one this morning, and typically it's in a community that I know relatively well. So normally I know most business owners if I go to somewhere there, and I do. But there's always two, and this is a tip for people listening, there's always a selection of people I've never met and I've no idea who they are. What most of this group do, and I'm not going to name them, they go and just stand and chat to the same people they see every single time, and it baffles me. I mean, I'm actually friendly with these people. I am friendly with these people. We have coffees, we chat, whatever. Outside of that, I'm there for business.
Yes.
So I purposely will always go and sit on the table where I don't know anyone, all the time. Now, it's actually quite uncomfortable, because we talked about anxiety already. I always feel, anxious, but I just know I'm here, like you said, what's the consequences of me wasting my money paying for this breakfast to not get anything out of it? Yeah. So my job is to network. That's what I'm here for. Yeah. So I'll always do that. Always go to that table where I don't know someone.
Spot on.
And people don't. It's just it every time.
It's very easy to fall into the trap of going to the people that you've become friends with.
Yes.
Now, I don't see an issue with that, but I think it's important to limit your time, because obviously you're in, you are there to ultimately do business. Yeah. and make friends too, but not the sole purpose of making friends, right? So I definitely agree with you. It's like limit your time with the people you know, because you're going to see them again anyway, probably outside of the networking event. Just say, oh, good to catch up anyway, like I'm going to do some networking and meet some new people. And that's what I tend to
I'm
do.
quite direct with it. I'm quite a direct guy. People listen to this know I'm direct, but no, I'm quite direct with because you do, like, there's people that have been there in networking events who have become friends, business acquaintances over the years, who have been there for me in really tough times personally. So, and there's one, it's quite funny because there's one of these guys at the same event but a few months ago. He tried to come and sit on the same table as me. I was like, go away. I said to him, go away. I literally told him to go away. I was like, go away, because I'm not coming to see you. I was like, because he come to sit next to me. I was like, what are you doing? I'm not here to see you. I'm here to do business. And I'm quite direct. I'm quite experienced in networking. But I mean, you have to go there to build those relationships. That's the intention, not to take. So I think I just wanted, and then anything else as a host, because as a host, I probably have felt similar feelings to the other side, like that imposter, like, are people even going to want to come? Like, I think that's my personal one that I've always struggled with. I mean, is there any that you have found in your space, or is...
I did used to feel like that when I first launched it, but I know that we've got a good value proposition, and we are quite a niche event in terms of the development. So that helps, of course. So for me as a host, one of the issues I have is getting round to speak to people. I can't have meaningful conversations being a host, because I'm not only like making sure everyone's like organised and happy, because we've got people that help out at the event now as well. It's making sure like everything's running smoothly, like nothing's going wrong. Like I can, I've got to make sure we're on time. Because otherwise we'll end up finishing late, which I don't like. Because we go for a curry afterwards. So like we get in time for that. So it's I love to chat to people, and to people like, Shane, have you met so and so? I'm like, sometimes I've had to like just say, cut it short and say like, look, I'm really sorry, I've got to do some hosting. And that's when I exchange details, and I'll say, look, I will, like, let's have just a quick call tomorrow or something, just to continue this conversation.
It's a bit like your wedding. If you get married,
it's exactly like that. You're having like 1 minute or 30-second conversations with like everyone.
I have a really successful ball that you should come to.
Yes.
I feel like that feels like my wedding, and actually I don't enjoy it. I know it's an amazing ball because people come, but I can't get
running around.
I feel like everyone should have at least something from me. Because they're paid, £100 to come and see. You do. I think that's something I didn't even realise I didn't enjoy so much. You just mentioned, but it's true. You don't get to have those meaningful conversations. But unfortunately at the ball they tend to find me drunk at the end of the job. They'll buy me drinks and I can't say no. I'm like, I'll go on then. I want to flip this round now. I think we talked about the networks. I just wanted to get it out because I think the stuff you've said, the anxiety, the imposter side, I think the problem is lots of people think it's just them feeling that way. I done a talk at a ladies only business thing twice now, but the first time I did it, I thought I'd be fine. It's not a huge event. There's 100-ish, whatever people there. So not huge for me. The 2 minutes before I went up there, I was like, oh wow, this is only females. Like staff, people there, and I just felt this whole thing go through me. Like, am I relatable? Am I this? And I never really worry that much. Obviously, I got up and done it. And I think the same when you talk about the networking stuff. Like, I just think it's important for people to understand it's completely normal. To feel that way. I'd be kind of like, but I think those nerves are good. That what helps you like get through it and get more prepared. I think because you're more like when you're nervous about something, you've focused on that then. And that like helps drive it to be like making sure it's like all good. Well, I want to now spin it around into the architectural side of things because that's what your business is. More than that, but that is what your business is, and I doubt many listeners really understand what goes on in the world of architecture and stuff. Like, they might think that you draw houses,
Yep.
And to be fair, even probably developers might think that sometimes actually. But you know, how do you find? Because on this podcast, we talk a lot about different industries and the key mindset issues they have within their industry, and that might be staff, that might be you, that might be customers, all of these things. So what would you say is the typical sort of experiences you have in the architectural world? Because obviously you've got developments and blah blah. You know, I'll let you explain that. Yeah. But what do you find in those day-to-days?
So the day-to-days of what goes on in our practice is, so we have a team, so it's managing the team and making sure they're set up today and for the day, and they're on top of the projects as well. So we've got about 60 live projects at the moment.
Okay.
All at different steps. Some are in planning, so we're not actually doing anything right now on them.
Yeah.
But there might be tomorrow where the planning officer comes back and needs something. So 60-ish live projects at the moment, and it will be like speaking with the local authorities, speaking with building control, speaking with the clients, addressing issues, new project inquiries, then obviously the invoicing side's going on, tracing invoices. It's the drawings, like getting time to actually do the creativity side.
Yeah.
There's lots that goes on.
So your business is actually far more involved than just being an architect and just drawing. So you're involved in the whole phase of it.
Yeah, so the very beginning, so if you were to use us, let's say, throughout the whole process, like you had a plot of land or a house for an extension, whatever it is, it's like, right, I want an extension. I'm going to phone Co-Arch. So phone Co-Arch and I say you want an extension. Okay, cool. What's the address? So we'll look at our mapping software. Just want a permitted development extension 3 meters out. It's across standard. Okay, cool. Let's just double check everything, make sure there's no rights to light issues and everything. That's good. Look on the mapping software, looks good. Potentially we'll come out if we need to see the neighbouring properties. Sometimes we don't need to do that. And then we'll design it. So if it's a bit more bespoke, like they want like to extend it further or do some internal changes, then we'll do if it's a simple one, we can do the drawings. Sometimes we'll do feasibilities in terms of can an extension work with an outbuilding. So we'll have to do a couple of options. So we might do 2 to 3 designs as well. And then we'll put in for planning. And then we also do design and access statements. Okay. And that's looking at the locality. So when you do more developments like commercial conversions and new builds, that's when you're looking at transport, amenities, like what's in the local area, conservation area, listed buildings, area of outstanding natural beauty, scheduled monuments, all of this stuff that has to go into a design and access statement, character, appearance, locality, local authorities have their own design guides. We have to adhere to them, minimum space standards, biodiversity net gain, nutrient neutrality, SIL, section 106. All these things you have to consider. This is more on the development, not a permitted development extension. All these things we have to consider to mitigate risks of a project, like a development project. Then you submit that with the planning, and then it's like a waiting game. And then the officers come back, they go and they want this change or that done. And then we do the building regulation, which is your construction drawings. You have your planning drawings. You don't need to put much level of detail into. Then you have your construction drawings, which goes into the wall thickness, cavity detail, windows, door schedule. And then we do contract admin, so we can be on site, making sure we're impartial with the contractor, building contractor, and the site owner, our client, and making sure contracts are being signed correctly. Monies that are being paid are being spent correctly as well, so we can do that role. All the way to handover, making sure it's ready.
So actually, it's not just architecture you're doing the whole.
That's one element.
The whole shebang.
You just draw stick figures and.
I think the problem as an industry is there is architects that will just do a drawing. And tell you can have something, and you can't have that. When you go to planning. So I think that's every industry has the flaws. So I think that's a problem in the architecture. There is architects that just do that. So then I think that's why it's clearly important for me to get you to explain what it is you actually do, because I know not all architectural firms and building firms will do that. It's just there.
Some don't. Some just get involved in the planning and the reg side. Some just do the reg side and not so much the planning side. But we're quite good at understanding like planning, and we're not planning consultants. Like we're not chartered town planners.
Yeah.
But we've got a good grasp of how the planning system works. Yeah. Because we're quite geeky when it comes to it, and we enjoy that element. So it's not often we need a planning consultant on board. No, we always advise it to clients, but it's more money. Yeah. But we can navigate it if need be.
Yeah. So for them to decide. And what's interesting for me now, I'm a property guy myself, so I know most of the complexities you go through and the nightmares that come up and nonsense that comes up. And we haven't really talked about property on. No, we haven't. We haven't talked about property on this podcast yet. So it's people are probably waiting for me to talk about property somewhat. Property is one of the you see. You've been to the networking events where they say you can make £1 million in a year in property. What a load of bloody nonsense! Unless you've got £500,000 cash already, then you can. But it's not that easy to go and make £1 million in property. It's really bloody hard. And you have to build long-term relationships, network really well. I mean, what have you found in your, because obviously you've been in it for a reasonable time now, what have you found is the biggest challenge for you in the property world?
So many things.
Okay, let's use the mindset side then. The mindset side, what do you think is the biggest challenge that you come across when you've been batting your head against a wall?
For me and in the architect practice, actually, I think it's people, if I'm being blunt, don't value us, because what are we paid for? We're paid for our time. Yep. That's what we sell. We sell our time. Obviously, you get the drawings out of that on a PDF or if you want to print it. But we spend a lot of that. Like that's a minor element. Like clients or potential clients, I should say, because our clients do value us, but it's potential clients that maybe don't want to go with maybe someone who's potentially cheaper. Yeah. They don't see even though we say it, like the hours that we spend battling with the councils all the time.
It's unseen,
going to more site visits if need be. Like we have to factor in sometimes, like we might undergauge it and then we lose on
you make a loss on that one.
Make a loss on that project, because the project that I'm dealing with at the moment for a single house, like we lost on that months ago. I'm still working on it because we want the best for our clients.
You commit.
We want the success. We want the track record, so we'll do it. But it's like being undervalued is super frustrating, because people are, why am I paying you higher fees? And it's like,
that's an interesting point then, because I think in England specifically, a lot of people struggle with valuing themselves. Probably because lots of people like to undervalue the other side. And how do you really deal with that? Because for me, I get what you mean. I've been there. Sometimes it can feel consistent. They're like, well, that person will do it for this. Well, we use them then. It's how do you really deal with that task of being undervalued, like mentally? I'm not on about how you have the conversation, but is it just the case that you're able to let it go, or does it fester sometimes?
I have let it fester in the past. But ultimately you have to let it go just to move on. But then it does make you reevaluate, like what is our sales, like what's the proposition, like are we not like saying certain things or keywords to show the value that the client's getting? But they might say like, well, so Mr. Solo, who doesn't have overheads and a team, can do it. They can do it for half the price. And we have to say, well, we're really sorry, but we can't compete with that. But if you work with us, you are literally getting a team. Yeah. You're not just getting one man who potentially could over leverage himself. I mean, do you want him to be working till 1 a.m. in the morning on your drawings? Like, there could be real big mistakes. I don't know, but it's a battle for sure, and it's just getting yourself. This is why networking helps, because you build relationships with the people that do value what you do, and they want to work with you because it's you, and don't mind paying them extra because they get to work with you. Yeah, and not so much just the company. But
the people buy people, don't they? At the end of the day,
people buy people.
If you get to that level of relationship, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's a really tough one. I like the value inside is tough. in property, I see a lot of common problems. You know, as I said, I try not to lead these conversations too much, but I see there's a lot of common problems. There's a lot of, I call nonsense. There's a lot of fluff, especially in what you do. You've got each council have different parameters. They the same rules, but they read them differently as such, shall we say, in simplified terms for people that are property people. It's the same rules, but means different things.
Yeah.
And I could imagine that's really hard. So then when you've got someone not valuing yourself, I could completely understand. And is there any other common trends you tend to see?
It really frustrates me when some other professionals will say, like let's say for instance something that you probably won't be able to get planning on, and I would know that, but they'll go to someone else and they'll say, let's just whack it in for planning. I'm like, no, don't just whack it in, because you're going to pay like a couple of grand to whack it in
for no reason.
For it's going to be rejected. Like, why are you giving your clients bad advice? I'd rather not take the project on, and then they send me a good one that does work, and then we achieve it together. Because if they use planning, then they're going to use us for building regulation. Might get to do some CGIs with them as well. So you look at the longevity of how that works.
I think
long-term view on relationships always.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've seen that a lot. A lot of architectural firms do that, which might sound unfair, but I have seen it a lot. There's a town planner who I really like, and she's brilliant. I mean, not everyone likes her because she's so black and white. But she's actually doing it because she doesn't want to waste your time.
Yes.
She will take a very nominal citation fee. I'm talking like 100 quid, right?
Standard.
And she would just say yes or no. But most, like you've just said, will say, oh, well, we could try this. Let's put it in. They know they're not going to get it. I've seen it. Yeah. I'm not a planning expert either. Yeah. I've gone to places where they've had someone who's putting through plan after plan after plan. I know it's never going to happen. I saw a plan in the start of last year, and this guy was using an architect actually to do the planning, and he spent 11 grand trying to get this. It's just a single dwelling at the back rear of the garden sort of thing. And I looked at it, not being a planning expert, but built a lot of houses.
Yeah.
I just saw straight away, well, yeah, but you don't own that. It was like that thick. You don't own that. So it's never going to go through. Yeah. Well, what that means? I was like, yeah, you're trying to get planning on someone else's land, technically.
Yeah.
I introduced him to the lady I said about, and she got it through for I think she charged him £1,100. Yeah. It was then for nearly 13 grand in, to be honest. Yeah. But yeah, I see it a lot, and I find that quite sad, really.
It is, yeah. There's a lot of that definitely happens. So that's quite challenging, to deal with that level in the industry as well. But it just seems like it's part and parcel of the industry.
Look, the property world's a tough world. Like I said, there's people that believe they can make millions in a year in property. You can if you've got money. Property's fun. I love property. I just love bricks and mortar. I can't help it. I'm sad like that. But it ain't easy, and you get lots of curveballs and costings and government decisions and things like that go against you. So I know you're probably constantly firefighting.
Yeah, it's navigating, isn't it? It's there's the new renters that came in, didn't it?
Yeah, well, look, I don't know if it's officially, but yeah, they are.
Well, yeah, so you talked about it your last. Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
I didn't, but I know you advertised.
Yeah, I
talk about it, right? So, and it's
I changed it the day after.
Of course, yeah, I saw the email.
So then I shared that as well.
Yeah, of course.
The day after they changed it.
I saw the email. So it's just there's always going to be new rules and regulations. So it's that's challenging the industry in itself, because it's being on top of those, isn't it? And then navigating them and not being in a sort of not a problem mindset. What's the solution?
So yeah, what is your mind? Yeah, that's it. What is your so is your mindset very much a solution rather than a problem? How do you look at it? Because it's quite easy in England to be negative about decisions.
Yeah, so it's so easy to get stuck into the trap of this is a problem, and then just dwelling on it. But actually no, we have this, me and my business partner always say to each other, no such thing as problems, only solutions. Yeah. And then we'll just always think about how can we solve whatever this problem is, or what, even if they're not both of them. If there's two options, what's the best one out of the two solutions? So we've actually incorporated that in the team, and it's called the 1-2-1 solution. So it's like, what's the we've only literally within the past 4 weeks implemented this, so it's brand new. So it's like we said to the team, instead of asking us straight away for the answer or your superior, when you've got a problem, what's the one problem that you've got? So write it down if you have to. Now you as an individual come up and think of 2 solutions.
Yeah.
Come up with 2 solutions that you can think of, even if you have to use Google. 2 solutions. Then come to us with which one of those 2 solutions you're going to pick to fix the problem. So one problem, 2 potential solutions, the one solution that you're going to pick to solve the one problem. 1-2-1. You can do 1-3-1 or 1-4.
Well, yeah.
But yeah,
they'll be there all day if you give them too many.
Yeah, we stuck to 1-2-1, and it seems to have paid off, because we've actually, since implementing it, we get less questions all of a sudden.
I like that. That's a really good thing to do, actually, because I think
use your initiative and your.
I find that an issue, and I don't mind being direct. I won't put this on you by saying this, but I do find in younger people, and I am still quite young, but maybe younger than me, I find the entitlement level and thinking outside the box levels have changed quite significantly.
Yeah.
And I think that probably is because of the YouTubes, Googles, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
When I was young, my dad was really strict, and if I wanted to go and play out, he'd done a property. He'd like, well, you need to finish building that brick wall. I was like 9 years old. I don't build a bloody brick wall, but it's, and I had to figure it out because there was no YouTube.
We live especially in Western society. It may just be UK or England. We live in a lazy world now. I'm totally with you on this. We have short attention spans.
Yeah.
We have the access to internet, so everything's at our fingertips. So we've all become lazy.
Yeah.
We've got Deliveroo, Uber, whatever.
Everything.
We've got everything at our fingertips. We're so privileged.
Yeah.
So now it's like the new generation of coming in, that that's why they're not thinking anymore, because I'll just Google it or just chat GPT, and the thinking outside the box has gone. Not for everyone, but
no generalization.
The younger workforce, and I'm saying this because I've witnessed it, because we've in the past, not now, but in the past, we've employed the younger workforce into our great, maybe some fresh talent, etc. And I'm speaking to other business owners, I'm speaking to recruitment firms, and they're all saying the same thing. Yeah. Everyone, there's so many lazy people. Yeah. Turning up late. No one cares about being on time anymore. Yeah. Dress the way that people dress. It's like turn up in tracksuit bottoms now. It's like,
as an employer, I think I was going to come on to some of the challenges as an employer, but I think as an employer, I think it's all well and good us sitting there saying it, but it is true. I work a lot in the education side of it. I love trying to. I don't like the education system here, but I like trying to help on that side, and a lot of the teachers who have been doing it for 30 years will all say to me it's the worst generation right now they've ever taught, because of the entitlement level, the work ethic. And it's not those people's fault, it's parents and the system.
Yes, parents.
And you say, like YouTube, we have tenants that phone us and say the light bulb needs changing. We'll change the light bulb. Well, I don't know how to. No. Yeah. Just YouTube. I mean, it's actually quite unbelievable how you don't know how to change the light bulb. But just to YouTube, if you really need to. We've had people pay us to go and change a light bulb.
Unbelievable.
I just, when I went, before we started this, one of them saying about a smoke alarm that they got doesn't work. I take it back to the shop that you bought it from and say it doesn't work. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and I think that 1-to-1's a really good idea for anyone listening, because I haven't used that, but I think it's definitely worth trying, because then, like you said, you're trying to get them to think about what is the solution before I go and ask any and all questions. Yeah, what is this? Just thinking that they might not have the right answer. Yeah, but thought
of tried.
Yeah,
that's what we want. We want them to at least try. I'm like, you know what? Fair play for trying. Yeah. You're not quite there with the answer, but because you've tried, I'm going to help you with the answer. Yeah. But don't, because otherwise they expect it. Then they go back to the default of I can't be asked to look for this myself, so I'm just going to ask. And it's like you don't learn then.
I love that. I own an estate agency, and I'm not a big fan of estate agents, so. I'm very passionate about the way my guys do things, and the valuers, I never tell them what it's worth, otherwise they always ask me. So what I get them to do, maybe not one-to-one, but a similar thing as to what you're saying. I've educated them how to value properly, not estate agent value, properly value a property. So you do that due diligence, you do that work, and you send it to me and you tell me what you think it's worth. And I do that every time because I've had people in the past, they don't think.
Yeah.
They're not going to think about it because why would they? They've got, in this case, not Google, but they've got me to tell them what it's worth. And I think it's a really good tool to put the initiative back on them. And I like that one-to-one idea. We had a podcast with Nigel, who's the CEO of the hospice, on here. And I'm not sure if you listened to it, but he done a phenomenal job with the hospice about introducing values that every staff member holds each other accountable to. I think it's amazing. He had to stand up and do an apology to his staff once because he went against one of those values that they had. But they will call each other out. And I mean, what an amazing environment to be able to do. And
good culture.
And that one-to-one's a good idea. I might try with the guys in the building here, see how that works. What do you actually think is the biggest challenges you face as an employer? Whether that's staff, mindset, business, whatever it is, what do you find is the biggest challenges as an employer in today's day and age?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it's definitely being staff, like for sure. And you know what? I'm not going to just point the finger wholeheartedly at the staff and the culture. I think that does fall back to the responsibility of the people that are running the business as well. Maybe that's due to our hiring process or because there's been times where we've need to hire fast.
Yeah.
And
so you cut in some corners in those periods.
Yeah. And I've gone against, I should say, I've gone against, what I always think the best thing to do is hire slow, fire fast.
Yes.
And I've gone against that because of, obviously, we don't want to let clients' projects slip. So it's been hiring quickly. And so I think people in anything you do is one of the biggest challenges is people. Yeah. And that can fall, but that can also fall back to not only the individuals, are they right for the business, but has the business been set up correctly for the staff to succeed? So we created something called the School of Co-Arch. Okay. And it's basically like an online course, like a Netflix style. Yeah. And I did some SOPs, so standard operating procedures. I recorded my screen on how to use the CRM, how to do holiday forms, how to do everything. Obviously, it's always been updated regular. Yeah. There's the architecture side's a bit more niche, different projects, but just the basic stuff that if you're doing tasks more than twice, document it, video it, and get it onto an SOP because you're creating a blueprint for your business. Obviously, when you change things, you need to update it.
And change that video.
Exactly. And it's just, if I know it's on the School of Co-Arch and someone says, Shane, how do I do a holiday form? Like, School of Co-Arch, login.
Do you know what? So I've been prone to moaning about staff a lot of times because staff can be the best and the worst thing about business. Like, I've got people who are absolute assets, machines, love them, but it's give and take to me. If they need to take days off because they want to go and do this, fine, do it. I know it's give and take, but I've had a lot of headaches, a lot of problems with staff, entitlement, work ethics, my most common problems, thinking outside the box. But yeah, you are right. Actually, sometimes an employer does need to look and say, well, what are they doing, to enable that staff member? Yeah. Because the world has changed. I can sit here and moan about entitlement and work ethic, but what we do have to accept is it's just not the same. So me having those expectations of someone to just have those values isn't a reality anymore. Yeah. So I love that School of Co-Arch. That's a really good idea. There's some of the mundane day-to-day procedures that aren't even time consuming. They've got no reason then. Like if you struck the video, that's a really good idea as well. I wonder how many people are doing that.
It's called, just to give the audience the name of the website, it's called Fresh Learn.
So you actually got that to do it, so you can do it on there.
Yeah, so it's a platform, and you can create it in like a Netflix style or like a course style, and they can't go on to the next video until they've watched it, and then they can comment on it, and then you get a ping, and they can ask questions on it, and it's just really cool. You can brand it as your own like school and whatnot, and your enrollment, and it's really good.
It's a really good idea because I'm actually thinking I sit on the board of some huge companies, and they don't. Some of them don't do these things. And I'm even thinking about a task that I constantly get problems with in this property business, which really isn't that difficult. But if there's a video, and any time they're struggling with it, rather than them make the mistakes, they could just ping up, open it, remind them.
Yeah. And they don't have to ask you. And I'm hot on SOPs. Like, I love SOPs.
I do, yeah.
And since reading that book called The E-Myth.
You mentioned
so that's how I sort of...
And that's where it come from.
How important SOPs are, but we don't have to write boring Word documents now. We can like video it, make it better. And even like, so we did an SOP on how to survey a house. Like, and we like, my co-director surveyed the house, and my colleague, the architecture designer, followed him around with the camera, and he was like, this is how you do this, make sure you get the stairs, you made all the steps. So now it's how to survey a house in 3 steps as well. So
that's a really good investment.
That's on, so that even do like, you know, more. Like,
and then if you do have to hire fast, I mean, sometimes you do have to make.
You can't, it's not always.
You've got that then.
Exactly.
Rather than having to completely worry about your onboarding process, you've got that. That's a really good takeaway for anyone listening.
Yeah.
And there's people might be saying, but that'll take me a while video and that.
Well, I did it all in my evenings and weekends.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it during my day. Like, it was building the business, working on the business, not in the business, for me, is my side hustle.
Side hustle, okay.
That is my side hustle, is working on the business.
Yeah. So you're working in the business for a day, then on it outside of it. So I like that. Yeah. See, that's a really good tool. And like you said, it's actually now it's probably so easy using that platform. Yeah. Even, I mean, there might be a cost to that platform. I don't know.
It's free.
Oh, blimey.
There is a paid version, but it is free. I'm not paying for it.
No, I was going to say that, but that's what it's so easy to just do. I mean, it's a phenomenal thing to do. And like you said, the most mundane tasks could be put on there, like the holiday form.
Yeah. Or we create things for clients as well. So we've got something called, like, so for instance, like HMOs in Birmingham.
Yeah.
There's something called an Article 4, which stops permitted development, obviously, from C3 to C4. And there's clients that are approaching us now that have HMOs and have been running them previous to Article 4 coming into place, but now lenders are asking for its change of use.
Yeah.
And they need proof. So now we have them to do something called Certificate of Lawfulness. So CLUID, so Certificate of Lawfulness of Existing Use or Development. That's what CLUID stands for. And what we did was, for our clients, because we're getting so many of these, we created a CLUID checklist. So a brand
so then you can do
PDF, and then we send to potential clients, right, this is what you need to have a successful CLUID, and a checklist of everything you need for us to submit to the council. So we send that to the clients now, and then they just send us a list.
I like that.
All everything they've got.
I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good takeaway for anyone listening to this, that idea, because I'm big on standard operating procedures, or, you know, level, because like SLAs externally to clients, but you should have them internally as well. Like
100%.
We call them standard operating procedures, but if you're sending a service level agreement to a client, why so many businesses I've worked with don't have them internally? And I love the video way, because to be fair, I've probably repeated some of our SLAs God knows how many times, because you said it's a bit boring, it's on a piece of paper, they're a bit lazy, can't bother to go and read that, or find that email or whatever. But that video, what was it called? Fresh Learn. Well, you've got them all set on this, go on there. Don't go asking, because every time you take my time away, or one of the managers, you're wasting. I don't mind helping people, but you're wasting time. Like,
you are.
If you've already gone through it 3 times.
Yeah.
So I really like that idea.
Yeah. And it keeps them accountable as well, because like they know it's there, or maybe they've just forgotten. Just apply a reminder, like, have you checked the school of co-ops?
Yeah.
Oh no, I haven't. All right, we're going to check it then.
I really like that. Do you know what? I'm going to invest the time to do it for these guys, because I think that's a really good tool.
And you can even do as well. So what we've got to do, so anything that is, I've said to the team, if you're repeating anything more than twice, document it. So now I'm getting the team to record our SOPs for what they do in their role.
I like that.
So if they ever leave, you don't have to train up them again in their role. Because I don't know, for instance, our office manager, he does like bank reconciliation and profit loss reports. I don't know how to do all that.
All the fun stuff.
Sage. So I got him to record all of the SOPs on how to do that. So if he ever leaves now and someone comes in,
I love that.
I don't know how to do it. I'm like, oh, someone's got to do all that again now. No, actually, it's been recorded now how to do it.
Yeah, do you know what? That's got to happen. because that's something, actually, that's a really good point. That's something that this business has really struggled with at times, is we can grow quite quickly and staff can be, quality of staff can be difficult. So I love that. I think that's one of the best takeaways from this podcast is it's a simple idea. Like before we were on camera, we were talking about Airbnb and some of the other things that just were in front of your face, but no one was doing. And that's something that I've been in some of the biggest companies and they don't even do that. So
interesting.
It's it's a really good tool.
Because you can have one for each department. We've got a sales school of co-arch, we've got an office manager school of co-arch, and then obviously a generic team one and an architect one.
But like you said, it protects you if that person leaves and you don't have the staff capacity to train said person.
Yeah.
Obviously, you want to be doing that to be a good employer, but it's not always feasible.
Yeah. Well, see how much time, like you as a director, has saved now. Obviously, you take 2 steps back.
Yeah, you have to invest the time
forward.
Yeah.
Like,
I like it there. See, I'm learning it. I like that. I like that idea. Well, we'll finish up then, and I want to finish up with like, what do you think? If you were going to say to yourself a few years ago, the best like mindset tip you could ever give yourself, what would you say it would be?
That is a very tough question.
I know. That's why I leave it right.
Yeah, that is a very tough question because I've read lots of mindset books. You know what I'm gonna use for me, and it's the one that's helped propel where I am today. It is the law of reciprocity, like understanding the mindset of if you can help others get what they want, they can help get what you want. Because I think not just property is a people business, but I think just life and business in general is a people's game.
Whether you're selling to your mum, your dad, your business,
so get to understand what the law of reciprocity is and use it.
Yeah. Did you get that from a book? Is there any like book that you read that you think is a key one? I think that's quite a nice question. Cause...
I don't think I got it from a book. I know it might have been it was either Confucius or Zigzag.
I've read Zigzag, yeah.
So it might have been him who said that if you can help others get what they want, they'll get what you want. But there's a guy called Dan Hill, and he owns Property Entrepreneur.
Okay.
And he wrote a book called Karma Credits.
I think I might have seen that. I've not read it.
Yeah, it's a really short book, like super short book.
Yeah.
But it's just about using karma credits on, let's say if you do something like an act of kindness or even something small, like you let someone come out of an intersection on the road, you've gained a karma credit, and it's basically like, like if you do
like that.
Something.
Yeah.
It's like that, and then one of the law of reciprocity is like building karma credits with like doing an act of kindness without expecting anything in return.
Yeah, I love that.
According to that term.
I've actually just teed up your book for this as well. So you've got a book that's recently come out called 32 and 32.
Yes.
I'm right, yeah. 32 and 32. Yeah. So, and just briefly, because I think it's pretty... I've read the short bit that you can see pre-order.
Yeah.
Because I haven't got the physical.
On the way.
What is that book about?
Sure. So 32 at 32 is 32 life lessons that I've learned, more so in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
And some when I was a little bit younger. What I've learned to get me to where I am in my mindset and state today, like from working, doing like over 30 jobs, feeling like a failure, being miserable, suffering from anxiety, going through lots of up and downs in life, like every single person does. But what the best lessons that I've learned in my 32 years of being alive and that I've implemented to help me get to where I am now.
Yeah. Well, I love that. Well, make sure we read, guys. And thank you again.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.